Paul, good evening. How are you doing?
Cam, I'm doing awesome. Ready to see some highlights, talk about some SFL, and watch an awesome game here in about an hour.
We had 10 games, 10 really interesting games this week. So teams on bye. We'll get to the standings for the first time this year towards the end of the show. Take a peek at week 6. Of course, we'll be previewing Indianapolis and Minnesota coming up a little bit later. But it's all about week 5 here on this show. And we are ready to rock. Let's start with headlines as we do every week. Or not. How about
Working
now?
out the kinks. There it is.
It's been that kind of day, as you can see by the clock. Week 5 headlines. Carolina's for real, Paul. The Skyhawks work the ground game. They have improved to 3-1. They are at Alamo City next week. And that's going to be a big one because Alamo City, not your average 2-3 squad. The Corsairs burned late again, throwing from the 1 and still 0-4. Or I should say still winless, now 0-4 after a devastating loss to Denver. Alamo City and Mexico City kept everyone up late. Double OT madness. Their defense carried the day once again to help the Aztecs take control in the South. And Paul, what stuck out to you from this crazy week 5?
I'll tell you what, Cam, watching that Corsairs game, wow, what an absolute thriller of a game. Again, those teams were back and forth from the first quarter to the very last possession of the game. So to see that game live was awesome. But like you said, these Skyhawks, they are for real, Cam. Again, 3-1 to start the season. Again, looking to turn the corner and take the next step.
There's a look at Davidson Joseph knocking the ball out of Josh Gill's hands, and we'll have more on that game coming up here in a little bit. But Paul, we start where a big old milestone happened. We go to Fort Lauderdale. Are we going to go to Fort Lauderdale?
We'll get there one day, Cam.
All righty. You know what? Now let's put up the headlines, and Paul, you take me through this horrible evening I'm having so far, and talk a little bit more about what impressed you in Week 5.
Hey, Week 5 again. One of the things that didn't impress me was that Seattle was on a bye. Again, waiting an extra week for some SFL action as far as Seattle goes, but a lot of different things going on, Cam. Again, Mexico City, Alamo City, double overtime. That's just mind-boggling to me. Again, I've been here about 4 or 5 seasons now. I have not seen a double overtime game, so that was awesome to see that happen this weekend. Just a whole bunch going on, bunch of games, a bunch of highlights, bunch of big plays, big time players. It's the SFL, Cam. It's Impact Monday.
Thank you, Paul. That was very well said. All right,
hey,
ready to go?
Got it.
Ready
Absolutely.
to go where the milestones land?
Let's check them out.
Is Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and this is Louisiana and Florida. Early on, Paul, it was all revolution. Florida's really been struggling. Cameron Collier with the touchdown run makes it 7-0. Louisiana, Ron Cochran on his first possession on 2nd down and 10. He's going to go down in the backfield. Chase down for the sack. Makes it 3rd and 18. But Bulipaletsky started cooking. Ties the game in the second quarter. Then the defense started cooking. Tommy Utah, who's been excellent the last couple of weeks, picked off by Adrian Blaine. Nice one-handed snag there. And Blaine gets it into Louisiana territory. Then Ron Cochran starts cooking. Optimus Klein, that touchdown gives Ron Cochran 45,000 career yards. He becomes the 3rd player in SFL history to do that. Ryan Tobin with the interception. And at this point, it is all Florida. 14-7 late in the first half. Another pick from Utah, and he's frustrated. Late second quarter, Ron Cochran dialing it up again. Oh, it's Klein with a pretty pass, or pretty catch, rather. 17-7, flash forward to the 3rd. Ron Cochran, Averett, and Zarkov. And at this point, Paul, everyone was saying, as Verden rose past that winless record, everyone was saying, wow, this Florida team is for real this week. And in the last couple of minutes, Bullet Boletsky runs it out, and Florida takes it easily, 34-21. But Paul, the Storm off the schneid. They tell Tyler to shove it somewhere where the sun don't shine, and they beat his Louisiana Revolution handedly at home to drop Louisiana to 3-2. What'd you think about this game? What'd you think about Ron Cochran finally getting that big milestone as well?
Super happy for Ron. Again, being a former member of the Florida Storm, I know how they operate. So again, I'm sure Tyler's words I'm sure Mighty heard about Tyler's words. So kind of kicked Florida into gear. Super excited for Ron to reach that milestone. Incredible milestone, 45,000 yards. That's a lot of passing yards in the SFL. So kudos to him. Major accomplishment.
Julian Tyree, Matt Wilson, the only others to pass for 45,000 yards. Julian Tyree should pass Matt Wilson for the all-time passing yards mark this season. And, Tyler Falk has been making an impact every year of his SFL existence.
Absolutely.
By motivating teams to prove him wrong. And he should have a gift basket somewhere in his mailbox this week from Florida. But, Paul, on the milestone topic, what's a favorite milestone of or favorite all-time achievement here by some of the greats in the SFL?
So taking a look over all these records, again, every player that has a record in the SFL has earned it, but the one that stands out to me the most is got to be Rocco Marconi of the Minneapolis Maulers, season 4. 1 yard shy of 5,200 passing yards and 59 passing touchdowns. We're in season 20, Cam. This record's been held for 16 seasons now. To me, that's got to be the most impressive record. I
got to say that, I got to stay in Florida and talk about Alex Dominguez, the 38 and a half sacks. I mean, I don't think anyone will ever catch him in all-time sacks.
Wow.
It seems like a record that's impossible to break, not only for in season, but as a total. Doug Day in the chat says, I thought Minnesota was Northwood Stadium. That is just another mistake here tonight, as my first drink of water went all over my shirt as well. And that was on Twitter earlier, but that's cool that you noticed just now and helped me out in the moment when I'm on live television. So it's all clicking tonight. But yeah, Alex Dominguez is just he was an impressive beast that season and has been through his entire career. And Paul, forgive me, you said Marconi, right?
I did.
Yeah, Marconi's record almost broken this past season, almost broken. Marconi's still the holder of that. And hey, $5 super chat. That does make me feel better. RH video producer, the Storm is storming back, he says.
Storming back, baby.
And they're not out of it just yet. 1-4 on the season. Louisiana at 3-2. All right, more upsets. Carolina, D.C. from our nation's capital. End of the first quarter, 3-0 D.C. already, and Kevin Say doing what he does. And at this point in the game, Paul, it felt like, this was going to be same old Carolina because D.C. was doing whatever they wanted.
And Kevin Say, again, we see him week after week make these big plays, and he can talk the talk, and he says what he says. And again, we're going to see that. Look at that, breaking off of 2 tacklers and outrunning another 3, 4, 5. Just beautiful play there by Kevin Say.
Jeff Banfield in the chat, $5 super. Indianapolis Ramblers. I can't wait to see if there's even more smack talk in the chat tonight. This was a huge play for Carolina, Paul, because it was second and long following a sack. Carolina had no momentum, 10-0, but Matt South puts a dot to Harish Prasad and then hits Xavier Solomon, the rookie, over the middle. And Carolina all of a sudden was starting to build some offensive momentum. Ike McBride shoulder charges John DeSantis, and Carolina's inside the 5-yard line where South will flip it out to Solomon for the touchdown. And Carolina, just before the half, built some momentum. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, 13-10 D.C. over Carolina. That pass hauled in by Chase Earl down to the 11-yard line. Matt South still wheeling and dealing, but the key to this game for Carolina was their 40 rushing attempts. But at the end of the day, Matt South with 2 touchdowns in the red zone. This one to his other tight end, Vince DeSantis. Carolina took a 17-13 lead. Disastrous strikes for Josh Gill. He dropped a touchdown earlier. He fumbles that one, and Carolina is going to end up winning 17-13, but what a costly play there.
Absolutely, and again, with that much time left in the game, fumbling the ball is one thing you do not want to do. again, a nice catch, but just couldn't get two hands to secure the ball, and unfortunately, he lost control of the ball and turned the ball over and sealed the deal for Carolina to take home the victory.
Skyhawks moved to 3-1. DC 2-3. They're in a bit of trouble, but it's still early on in the season. How about over in Vancouver Friday night with a big shocker? But early in the game, it looked like Brett Killian was going to get his 100th until he didn't. Tackled at the 8-yard line. Portland up 7-0 after Ezekiel Love ran all over them in their first possession. Vancouver would strike back. Second and goal from the 3. Christian Brown finds Chris Curtis in the end zone to tie the game up. Jeff Banfield with a $5 super. Hashtag Flight for Life. 10-7. Portland's up. Cyrus Jive dialing it up. It was a lot of Ezekiel Love in that first half, but Gavin Bouvette with the touchdown there for the Fleet. Now, Ezekiel Love really turning on the Jets at the end of the first half, gets Portland to field goal range. They tack on a field goal, and before we hit the locker room, 20-7, Portland. But Robert Redford puts the spin cycle on the Fleet and gets Vancouver back in the game with a huge touchdown, 20-14. He was so tired at the end of the play, took a little tiger snooze. Fourth quarter, Christian Brown in the end zone, pass deflected. Mel Davis, huge stop there for Portland because it resulted in just a field goal. Christian Brown trying to take the lead, looking for someone to get open, is sacked. That brings up 3rd down and 21 for the Legion, still down 3. But then another milestone. Christian Brown, a rainbow to Brett Killian, his 100th career touchdown, and Vancouver took the lead, 24-20. At this point, Paul, it felt like Portland had blown it again in Vancouver and the Legion were going to escape.
Again, and at this point, when you have Brett Killian, and you got to at least double cover him because you know what he can do on a field. So beautiful pass, beautiful catch, and a beautiful touchdown.
5 minutes to go. Christian Brown throws a costly interception, and then Cyrus Jive goes to work. What a dot to Benjamin Warner down to the 4-yard line. 2 minutes to go, down 4, inside the 5. What do? You give it to your bell cow, and Ezekiel Love scores, and Portland takes the lead, 27-24. One last chance for Vancouver. Brown on 2nd and 10. Got to get something going quick. That is going the other way, the wrong way. Sack, 3rd and 17. Next play for Brown. Brown over the middle, hauled in by Chris Curtis, so Vancouver rushes quickly to the line. Brown down the field again. What is Portland doing? They better catch him. Oh, they do. Curtis down at the 12. Vancouver not making it easy on Portland. Fleet got the blood pressure boiling. Christian Brown throws a pick. Dale McClain takes it away. Oh, an unbelievable finish. Portland beats Vancouver 27-24. And let's hear from Gavin Bouvette, or Gavin Bouvette on the touchdown. Jacob Bouvette, the owner of Portland, after the huge victory as Portland takes over the Pacific. Ashley Jackson, take it away.
Welcome back to PGI, and we are back with Mr. Jake Bouvette, a very good friend of mine. He is the owner of the Portland Fleet. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Ashley. How are you?
Doing fantastic, and you guys have been doing fantastic on the field, I see. I think head coach Mel Davis got you guys in a good spot, especially with that win over Vancouver.
Oh, most definitely, Ashley. You know, here in Portland, it's one game at a time, one foot in front of the other, and we're just doing what needs to be done this season.
Indeed. So how does it feel to take control of your own destiny after that win?
You know, Ashley, it feels amazing, actually, to be in control of your own destiny. But truly, any team in this league is in control of their own destiny. So, you know, it's just a matter of how you control it. And getting one up in Vancouver, removing that goose egg, it's an amazing feeling in the locker room. And it's truly my second time beating Vancouver. Once was a head coach and an offensive coordinator in Denver, and then Mel got that monkey off of his back also.
Absolutely. One more question for you. So, how does it feel? What was that transition like coming from Denver over to Portland?
You know, it was pretty smooth. You know, coming from Denver. over to Portland. JV helped me out tremendously, and showed me what a great organization is. And here we are in Portland. We joined in season 15, so 5 years in, and loving every minute of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Jacob. I really appreciate you.
You're very welcome, Ashley, and thank you.
Anytime. Anytime. Polly, Cam, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. Huge win for Portland. And it was kind of stunning to watch in real time, Paul, because last year at the convention, it was the same type of situation. Portland led Vancouver at the half on the road. Vancouver started to come back. Christian Brown started to make big plays. Vancouver kind of went into their own shell and ended up losing the game. This time around, they get the interception late. They drive down, score with under 2 minutes to go. Defense gets a huge stand where they need it the most. And it really did feel like Portland had taken a big step forward just because that game at the convention was so fresh on the minds of many.
Absolutely. And again, I was there to witness that game live as well at the convention. And I'll tell you what, Portland taking the lead. Again, Vancouver's kind of been the kings of the Pacific. So I don't know. They're, as a part of the Pacific myself, again, being able to play against both Vancouver and Portland each season, it's not always a fun game because, again, little rivalry there between us. But again, this Portland team, it's just to be able to step up when Vancouver was driving, all the momentum was in their favor. For your defense to step up and get an interception at the 5-yard line is just truly incredible.
Jeff Banfield is killing it tonight. He's my main man in the chat. Third time for maybe a third Ramblers win. Let's go. You deserve a touchdown tonight. And, hey, Paul, I don't want to say it, but Indy's kind of kicking the crap out of Minnesota in the chat tonight so far. It's still early, though. But, yeah, Jeff Banfield is willing his team to a victory off the field. And Brett Killian makes the highlight. Man, this makes me sad, even with 100 in the belt, $5 Canadian super chat. Love to see that. For the variety. But, Paul, along with Portland, there's some interesting teams at the top of these divisions. The Atlanta Swarm are undefeated. The Canton Classics lead the North Division. And it's the standings are always a complicated mess, but this is our first early look at things. And when you have three teams that lead a division that didn't even make the playoffs last season, that's pretty surprising. What's your take on that here in this early season?
It definitely is something that, again, we haven't seen too often. Again, I want to talk about Portland again since we were on topic, but again, we saw them last week, Cam, on SFL, MN, SWCAP, and again, with Valentine's Day being tomorrow, you got to show Ezekiel Love some love. Again, 172 touches this season. Cyrus Jive has only thrown the ball 170 times, with Love seeing 39 of those receptions. I want to also touch base on the Atlanta Swarm. Again, I think they have been the most impressive. Being in the East Division with heavy hitters such as Florida, Louisiana, and Jacksonville definitely has to be one of the toughest divisions in the SFL. And again, the Swarm are sitting pretty at the top with that 4-0 record. And again, you can't forget about Canton, Cam. Again, their defense has been something else this season. But again, I said it last week. Again, you have to get the run game going. You can't have a one-dimensional offense if you want to keep that divisional lead, if you're Canton.
Jeff Banfield, it's called a bribe. LOL, just kidding. I mean, look, man, I hope you get like 5 touchdowns tonight, but I can't do anything about it. Xbox just sitting right next to me. I wouldn't even know how to code something like that. Colin Pierce, $5. He's not kidding. It's a bribe. Oh, my gosh. Well, golly, now I kind of feel like Minnesota has to win the game just so I can get the pressure off my back. But thanks, Colin, for that. But yeah, you can't forget about Canton. Can't forget about Carolina, Vegas, San Diego either. They're 3-1 and in wild card spots right now. And we'll talk about the standings a little bit more later in the show and what they mean. But for now, let's get back to the highlights. Go to Buffalo, where we saw a wild and wacky finish in Buffalo. First quarter, no score, and this highlight is just going to be a bunch of bombs. John Lakeman, the rookie, to Doug Spelling. Queen City gets us off to a hot start. Let's flash forward 14-10 Denver. And Bailey O'Shaughnessy gets away and is out of here. Denver cooking early, 21-10. And boy, Queen City's defense, just a problem child, aren't they, Paul?
Absolutely. Again, it is a younger defensive team for Queen City, but when you have a running back like Bailey O'Shaughnessy, I know this isn't going to be the first highlight of Bailey that we see, but just what a great run, showing off his speed in the open field. Again, at this point, that was his second in the game, Cam. 105 yards here already in the first half.
Second quarter, next possession for Queen City. Whoa! Somebody forgot to cover Deezer Powell. He was so wide open, some of the defense stopped for Denver. They said, well, better luck next time, because that didn't work out too well for them. So Deezer Powell scores from John Lakeman, and then on the ensuing kickoff, McDowell, McSpin, and oh, your own kicker gets in the way. Get out of the way. Touchdown Denver, 28-17. Nightwings flying high, trying to win their second in a row in a very competitive West. How would John Lakeman respond? Well, that's another defensive flub, and I don't know what's going on with Denver's defense tonight, but it sure can't make Canton feel good about struggling against it. Doug Spelling with the bomb.
And again, shout out to John Lakeman again, and Gene Struthers, both quarterbacks in this game, to be rookies and haven't played so well this season, to come out and put on an absolute performance like the way that they did. It was a sight to see.
35-27. These are Powell in the back of the end zone. This is, by the way, this isn't even halfway through the third quarter. That is good, but the two-point conversion was not. Remember that for later. 35-33, ensuing kickoff. McDowell going to do it again. No fumble! So he gets a touchdown, but then he gives it away 1 quarter later, and Queen City now has a chance to regain the lead.
Again, trying to hold on to the lead. You got a 2-point lead here. Again, you just scored. You got to be more careful with the ball. Again, on the kick return, you just got to hold on to the ball.
So, Queen City on a 3rd down and 7. It gets a jump ball to Tony Zoma down inside the 3, and when a guy gets that close to the end zone, well, you got to just feed him. Watch the slot, back corner, wide open, just tips it in there. 39-35, now 40-35. Now Jets 0, piling it in, down 41-40. But then 1 yard away from the end zone, Paul, 49-46. Where's the run game? Run the ball. Queen City falls. Josh Neal knocked it away, although the highlight froze. But, I mean, Paul, we got to focus on this for just a second, because I know the highlight went awfully fast, but they had so many opportunities to Queen City. They failed on two-point conversions. So in that moment that they were throwing, if they would have just kicked the extra point, they would have only been down 1. So they could have just ran the clock out, kicked the field goal, won the game. But for some reason, they were so desperate to score a touchdown, right? Because they didn't want to tie, Paul.
Sure.
And I don't know why they just didn't run there. And as a result, Queen City falls to 0-4. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, again, that is a tough call when you're on the 1 yard line. You might as well just rush it in. But again, when your pass offense is cooking the way that they were, again, between both teams, over 1,000 yards in the same game, they almost scored 100 total combined points, Cam. John Lakeman, 510 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Gene Struthers finally living up to the hype, being an early first-round pick, 27 for 29, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, Bailey O'Shaughnessy, 236 all-purpose yards, just carrying the Denver Nightwings on his back to the victory.
And everybody, Paul, is now at 500 or better in the West. Denver is still last at 2-2, but even the Nightwings are looking pretty good here through 5 weeks. And that's what Paul had to say about the game. What did Tom Welsh have to say about the game? Ashley Jackson caught up with him. Back to you, Ashley.
All right, and welcome back to PGI, where I have a good friend of mine with me, Mr. Tom Welsh. He is the head coach for Queen City Corsairs. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ashley. How you doing on the Super Bowl Sunday?
Hey, doing pretty good. Can't wait to see the Chiefs win. We're gonna see if that
I
actually works.
agree.
All right, just got a quick question for you, Tom. Okay, so let's go back to this past game with Denver.
Mhm.
26 seconds left in the fourth quarter. You see Jet Zero fall back to pass the ball on second down and goal, and he throws the interception. What went through your mind at that moment because you guys are in that game?
Yeah, pretty typical the way that our season has kind of gone, especially with the first matchup against Vegas and that crazy whatever the heck you want to call it at the end of that game, pick six to kind of cost the game for us. So, it's kind of like we're just at the whim of the game and whatever plays get called. I mean, I know our ratios and our play calling on offense is good, so it's surprising that it would be called in that situation. But you just kind of take it and learn how to better yourself, I guess, and adjust and kind of see what plays get spam called a lot and what plays don't and just try to adjust accordingly. It's tough, I feel bad for the guys in the locker room that are new to our team and new to the league and are trying to navigate their way through it because they don't know yet. They don't know how the game works and how plays get called and what kind of goes on. So it's tough to see them, put in their time, put in their money, put in their effort, and something like that happens. And now it's two times this season where now we're 0-4, where we could easily be 2-2 and should be right in the middle of things, but that's not how things kind of worked out. So we're just kind of at the whim of adjusting and game planning a little bit differently and seeing what works and just keep plugging away. So it's tough. It's tough for sure.
Definitely. But you're the Queen City Corsairs, we'll have won the big show 4 times. I'm sure you'll
Yep.
get back there, all right?
That's the plan and that's the goal. So we just need keep the guys happy and keep the guys going and we'll get there. We'll get there again.
Indeed. Tom, thanks for your time. I really appreciate that, brother.
My pleasure, Ashley. Thank you.
Anytime. Cam, Paulie, back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. And that sounds like a coach that's just a little dumbfounded, Paul. We go back to week 1, that crazy result at the end of the game where they had Vegas, and then they just kind of blew it. Justin Reside dashes their hopes of a week 1 win, and then you got this win or this loss this week, and 0-4 is tough. What do you do after
Absolutely.
that? And especially with such a young team, it's going to be critical to keep the morale up for sure.
Yeah, again, it's something that I'm familiar with, not winning a lot of games, but you just got to keep your head down, keep grinding, keep putting the time in, keep putting the work in, and just keep fighting every week that you go out and play on the field. Again, coaches game planning all week long for the game, and then players just got to go out and execute the game plan. And Queen City's right there. They're not getting necessarily blown out of every game. Again, just a couple plays away from winning a couple games so far this season.
Mickey Malillo with the $4.99 super chat. Have we figured out what a Rambler is yet? #StompIndy. Ouch. If you're watching this on Next Level Sports, by the way, and you're wondering what is a super chat or what are we talking about, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SimulationFL, people are interacting and engaging with Paul and I in the chat, and it's a fun part of the show. Sometimes it makes things go a little sideways, but we like a little sideways in life. Before we move on, Paul, speaking of sideways, the 2 Denver wins could not be more opposite of each other. They beat Canton 12-3, and then they beat Queen City 49-46. What do you make of this 2-2 Nightwings team? What does that tell you? I think I know what it tells me, but I'm interested to hear what it tells you.
As far as what it tells me that they're a team that they obviously know how to win games. Again, you can win a game with your defense and your kicker scoring your only 12 points of the game, and then you can win games with your offense. On the flip side of 12, you're dropping 49 in back-to-back weeks. So again, they're a team that can win. It's just a matter of if they can stay consistent while they're doing it.
Yeah, I think what I've learned over the last couple of wins is if you put Gene Struthers in a position where he's not going to turn the ball over, then Denver is a pretty great team. But
Absolutely.
what they don't do well is they don't overcome adversity very well, because they, if they're not being efficient, if they're giving their opponents great field position and they're constantly behind the 8 ball, Denver may not necessarily be one of the more resilient teams in the league. But if they're confident in themselves, they're not turning the ball over there, and they're not beating themselves, they can go out and beat just about anybody in the league. And Denver definitely looks improved so far this season. We'll see what they do over the last 8. Back to the highlights. Alamo City and Mexico City. Trust me, we did not forget. End of the first quarter, 3-3, and Ace Fennec connects with Deuce Fennec for the touchdown. Another one of those instances. We saw this a lot this week, Paul, where it's just like, well, I guess nobody's going to guard him. How about Phoenix Jones? Let's check in on this Mexico City Aztec offense that's really been struggling, and Phoenix Jones gets him down to the Alamo City 39-yard line. Next play, Jordan Syke gets the pass game going. That pass caught by Nick Lockett. 13 receptions in this game. He was unbelievable. Second and goal from the 1. Syke, Bentley scores. We're all knotted up at 10. Fast forward. Third quarter, 20-13, Alamo City. Jordan Syke into the end zone. Wow, what a beautiful pass to Jason Bartley. And now we're tied at 20 in the third. Fennec is picked off. This was the start of Alamo City's downfall. Jeffrey Daggs with the pick in the end zone, and it seemed to really rattle Ace Fennec. He was never the same after that. Still tie game, 3rd down and 10. Syke going to the end zone. He is picked off with 6 minutes left. Gunny McGuire takes points off the board. It's incredible, Paul, that this game, both teams were held under 30 the way these offenses were playing through the first 3.5 quarters. Ace Fennec is picked off again. Liam Ryan gets up, gets moving. Under 5 to go, and Mexico City would get a field goal. So would Alamo City on their next possession. Right at the end of the game. Oh, Albert begin with the pick. What are you doing, Jordan Syke? This had me nervous, Paul, watching this. Alamo City almost won the game right there.
Yeah, to almost win the game with a walk-off interception. Again, you got to take a shot a little deeper than that with that amount of time on the clock. And again, Mexico City very thankful to see overtime, and I'm sure they're glad that that was not returned for a touchdown.
So to overtime we go. After Alamo City had 17 points in the first half, they managed just 6 after that, thanks to Bernard Patterson and Dan Tritz, who combined for nearly 6 sacks all on their own. 4-yard loss put Alamo City behind the 8 ball. And that's important because on the very next play, Ace Fennec is picked off by Jermaine Menefield. Great hit by Giraffe Brody to jar the ball loose, and somebody's got to tackle this guy because he gets into scoring position, and that allows Chaz Blackwater to come on and kick a field goal. But wait, because, Paul, as you'll see on the next play, it wasn't as easy as it seems, but great play by Menefield.
A great interception. Again, you're in overtime, trying to win the game. These defenses are playing the way that they are. No one wants to let up any points. Just awesome to see.
Oh, Jordan Syke can't put Blackwater on the field because Barr gets the sack. But all's well that ends well. Mexico City gets a stop. Ray Bentley gets right back into field goal range. This time, Paul, they don't get sacked out of field goal range. Chaz Blackwater in double overtime finally gets a chance to put Alamo City away. Mexico City takes over the South. Ramos Lynn, Ashley Jackson. What do you have to say?
All right, and we are back with PGI. And I have another good friend of mine, Mr. Ramos Lynn. He is the head coach for Mexico City Aztecs. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Another great week of SFL action.
Yes.
This team cannot give me a comfortable win. I just got to suffer every single day when it plays, but doing great, Ash.
Hey, sitting at 3-2 is not bad, though, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Definitely. So my question to you is, how has the transition been for you thus far, configuring an offensive game plan without Mac Daggs and without our beloved Matt Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, really the game plan hasn't changed a whole lot because we do have that kind of trust for Jordan and for Bill at the quarterback and tight end positions respectively. So really, I mean, Jordan, it's hard to compare anybody to Matt, but he's also a left-handed quarterback. He's also somebody who can, deliver the ball precisely and on time. And for Bill, he has been learning, under Mike Dax for a couple seasons prior to this one. So, with his progression and the way he has been evolving in this offense, the game plan hasn't changed a whole lot, to be honest. And they're doing some great work.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I do wish that you guys keep up that good work. Hopefully we'll see each other in playoff run and give you a run for your money like you always give us.
Yeah. It's always great when we face against you guys.
Indeed. Indeed. Ramos, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anytime, brother. All right, Cam. Paul.
Back to you. Yes, we got it. Sorry, Ashley. Back to the highlights, huh? Instead of us. Nobody wants to look at us. Tulsa and Sioux Falls. This was low-key one of the best games of the weekend. May not have had the biggest crowd watching like Denver and Queen City, but it's pretty great. Douglas Brown with the touchdown there in the first quarter puts Tulsa up 7-0. How would Sioux Falls respond? Julian Tyree hits Noe Terrasis for the score, and we are all knotted up at 7. Just got in. Dirty Bird. Oh, we can always appreciate that. Fireworks behind Mount Rushmore. Beautiful sights in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Second quarter. JQ, his turn. Out of the shotgun, second down and 10. Fires down the field, hauls that in. Got Tulsa on the move. DJ Bandit with the catch, former Vulture. Champion Vulture. Douglas Brown off the right side. Touchdown, 14-7. Tulsa regains the lead. Desperados beat Sioux Falls in the last week of the regular season last season, but still failed to make the playoffs. Julian Tyree, there it is again, Paul. Wide open. K. Marion trots into the end zone, and we're all tied at 14 just before the half. Fourth quarter, 20-17. Douglas Brown smashed by A.J. Levy. How often do you see -5 yards on a run play? That put Tulsa behind the sticks, third down and 15. JQ forces one. Derek Williams, interception at the 1-yard line with Tulsa up 3. Now, Tulsa's up. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Derek Williams with the pick.
Yeah, and we're going to see here on this interception again, that Julian Tyree might have been, not Julian Tyree, but that almost might have been able to be completed just a little more loft on the pass. He had an open receiver, just couldn't get enough arc on the pass and just was tipped and intercepted.
Tulsa still are up 3, and they throw another interception inside the 5-yard line. Jason Williams takes advantage of a stacked box. And after 2 red zone interceptions for Sioux Falls, Jason Williams erupts. Didn't have a single highlight this entire clip, and puts Sioux Falls ahead for the first time in this game with 5:50 to go. Tulsa would not have a Portland-like comeback because Jason Williams is still going. Look at the blocking down the field. It's a big old lineman. And Jason Williams is caught from behind, but not before the damage was already done. Under 2 to play. Huge third down here for Sioux Falls. If Tulsa gets a stop, it's a 7-point game. Instead, wide open again. Touchdown, Julian Tyree to Noe Terrasis. And Sioux Falls takes care of Tulsa 31-20. Last ditch effort from JQ. And no, I don't think so. 31-20. Sioux Falls gets the important Central Division win. Those two teams mean a lot to these two teams playing tonight, Indy and Minnesota. All right, Baltimore-Charleston. Can Baltimore cover the 14.5-point spread? Certainly didn't look like it early. Nice interception in the end zone. Charleston's defense came to play, but their offense putting them behind the 8 ball all day long thanks to plays made by Sirron Yates IV like that.
I swear, we see Sirron Yates every single week getting a sack on these highlights.
Yeah, how about another? Not Yates, but his teammate, Joe Duncan, making the play. Third down and 12. Charleston's offense is not going forward. They at one point had 0 yards of offense late in the first quarter. It's still 3-0 though. But it's time for a cheap Baltimore Vultures touchdown, brought to you by the 3-time champions. Wide open, Ivory Irvin. Nobody playing defense on that play, makes it 10-0. Second quarter, Charleston making a game out of it and giving Shark Tarkington a block on his resume. Charleston finally starting to get things moving. 4 minutes later, they still have the football, and Kentes has a touchdown. 10-7, your new score, late in the first half. Wild, right? Still in the first half. Sack again. And Charleston gets nothing out of the drive. Baltimore's defensive front just vicious. 3rd down and 5 for Wigmore. 10-7. Up, another easy touchdown. They just get 14 points like this every week. 17-7 in the third, now 20-7 in the third. That right there, Nate Brown with a 3-yard loss, that was the first run by a running back in this game for Charleston, and that would be their last. -3 rushing yards out of their dynamic backfield. That pass hauled in by Ivory Irvin. 27-7. Just like that, the defending champs can turn it on. In the fourth quarter, Charleston trying to get something going. Stoinked it. Off the upright, no good for Brechet. Still down 20. 30-7. Still in the fourth quarter, and okay, there we go. Touchdown, Davius Reed. 30-14. Remember, Baltimore 14.5-point favorites trying to cover. Baltimore, you got to cover. Nope, they didn't get the cover. They got the win, but they didn't get the cover. 33-21. Baltimore takes care of Charleston. Charleston did a nice job hanging around. You understood the game plan. They didn't feel like they had the matchup with the defensive front and their young backfield, but even still, just not enough.
What is enough at this point against Baltimore? We're all trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Here's 3 teams that had plenty enough and more this week. Fort Worth dominated Houston 38-16. Cade Stevens and Stephen Hacker caught a combined 23 passes in this game for over 300 yards. Aiden Davis got 2 picks against his former team, and Fort Worth's 22-point win, the largest in this series history, which Fort Worth now leads 5-4. Dave Burr on his birthday, rough. 30 for 51, 269 yards. He started the game 1 for 9. G.P. Wells averages over 3 yards per carry. No touchdowns. Corey Menner, when do you see this? 2 picks, no tackles. Outside the 2 picks, he was worked all day by Hacker and Stevens, and Houston's defense struggled. They were plus 13 in turnover differential last season, and Houston is -5 through the first 5 weeks of this SFL season. Also on Friday, Vegas torches Motor City 52-26. They matched their franchise record for most points in a game with 52, and they wouldn't be the only ones, if you can believe that. Eric Price, Paul, he kept the turnovers down. 24 for 36, 304 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Prince Wonder, the rookie, 2 touchdowns on 3 catches. Max Jackson was everywhere. 11 tackles, 5 passes defended, 2 interceptions. But I know, Paul, we've been harping on Eric Price, and got to give credit where credit's due. He took care of the ball.
For sure. Again, super glad to see him kind of control the turnovers. Again, you had 2 this game, but again, he threw 5 touchdowns, 300 yards. Las Vegas was rolling here, so even though you threw 2 interceptions, you got to be okay with that performance from Eric Price.
Lost on this game was how good Motor City kind of played. Ibrahim Krieta, 40 for 52. 40 for 391 yards. How about the Kaufmans? Shane Kaufman, 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mark Kaufman, 6 tackles, a pass deflection, and an interception. And I'm going to have to look up, Paul, if brothers have ever scored, or relatives, I should say, just family in general, have ever scored 3 combined touchdowns in a game before. Motor City wishes they could have that third quarter back. They were outscored 21-0 in it. Otherwise, it was a pretty even game. Vegas goes to 3-1 in that crowded West Division. And then another team scoring 52 at home and tying a franchise record. That was Arizona. They were all over London, 52-31. Ashley Jackson was just such a beast. 39-46, 480 yards. DJ Moses nearly totaled 200 all-purpose yards to give Bailey O'Shaughnessy a run for his money. And how about a little fullback love? Justin Williams, 2 receiving touchdowns. And Oh, yeah, that's a great point, Eddie. The $5 super chat. Game ball to Ashley Jackson for suiting up despite waking up with a stomach illness. Only in the SFL, Paul, can you wake up with a stomach illness and then go out on the field and throw for 480 yards, 5 touchdowns, and keep your team undefeated. That was just an impressive performance there by Arizona.
Incredibly strong performance from Arizona. It's kind of what we expect. Again, London struggling this season, not seeing the same London Knights that we saw as last season, but what a great job from Ashley Jackson. Again, wake up in the morning, stomach's hurting, not feeling too good, and then you come out and play the way that you do. It's awesome to see that type of stat line with such a sick feeling in your stomach.
On the London side, Johnny Pickler, not a terrible game, 26 of 36, 354. Did have 3 picks, though. Robert Merrill shut down like he rarely is shut down. 66 all-purpose yards on 21 touches. Fox Highwind, they let him loose, though, 178 yards and 2 scores. But London's defense right now is the problem. 468.5 yards per game given up this season. Ooh. That is the most, and that may be the most, well, San Diego was pretty rough last season, but that might be the most in a long time if London cannot get it fixed and get it together. So that's a look at some highlights around the league. Let's take a peek at Week 6 on Saturday. It starts with a 6-pack of games. We start with Denver, London. With Denver playing some good football, London better not take them lightly, or Denver's going to end up above 500. San Diego, another West team, is on the road against a North team. They're playing Canton. Can't wait to see what Canton's great defense does against this Mavericks team. That's going to be a really interesting game. LA and Tulsa is your next level sports game next Saturday. Los Angeles trying to save their season. You'll see in the standings coming up. I don't think 6 wins is going to be enough. That means you got to get 7. That means you can't lose more than 5. LA's 0-4. They got to figure out how to turn it around. And they actually have never been to Tulsa. So that's going to be an interesting matchup there. Charleston, Fort Worth. Baltimore's at Houston. And then sneaky good game in the nightcap. Jacksonville at Seattle. Battle of purple supremacy. And Jacksonville's going the wrong way. They've lost 2 in a row. Seattle's going the right way. They won last week. Outside the Seattle game, Paul, which game's on your radar on Saturday?
As far as the ones I'm seeing, again, I'm seeing DC Dragons in the Aztecs for Week 6. Scorpions Fury. Again, Los Angeles, excited to see them play, see if they can get their first win. Sioux Falls in Atlanta, seeing if Atlanta can go 5-0. So it's going to be an exciting week, and I can't wait to see it all happen.
Yeah, Sunday, Paul, you mentioned D.C. and Mexico City. This is the day where I feel like the SFL's turned into soccer. Queen City, Motor City, Alamo City, Mexico City all play on the same day. 3 of them are at home. And then you got Arizona, Vegas in the nightcap, which that, for right now, once again, is for first place in the West. San Diego's 3-1, even though, or they are third of the division, even though they are 3-1. That D.C. Mexico City game's always good. Carolina, Alamo City is sneaky good. And Queen City and Motor City, somebody's just got to get right, and hoping that they get right next week. So one last look at the standings before we get to our Monday night preview here tonight. But it's important to note the division leaders. You got Portland with the head-to-head over Vancouver. That drops Vancouver into 11 at the moment. And then you've got Atlanta, Canton also in there. Arizona is the only 5-0 team. Excuse me, they have not had their bye. Atlanta and Baltimore have. We'll see Atlanta next Monday night in the Impact Monday game with Sioux Falls. Speaking of the Sparrows, they are right on the outside looking in right now at 2-2, but nobody that is at or below 500 is currently in the playoffs at the moment. Carolina holds that top wild card spot, the only wild card team who could potentially get a home game, but right now Canton with a 2-2 record. Actually, they are the only team that's not above 500, but they're winning a pretty bad North Division right now, Paul, and that's going to make them feel pretty good.
For sure. Again, looking at these standings, there's a lot of good teams left at the top, obviously. And again, there's great teams that aren't listed here that they very well can make a late season run and find themselves now in this updated graphic and fighting for a playoff spot. Possibly might win a playoff game. Again, it's the SFL, Cam. A lot can happen. Things can change at the snap of a finger. And there's still so many weeks of great football to be played.
This has been let's try that again. This has been This Week in the SFL, Week 5 edition, here on this beautiful Monday from SFL studios and headquarters and all around the world. We're getting ready for Indianapolis and Minnesota for Next Level Sports fans. You may be turning to other programming right now, but for the SFL, we'll be right back to preview Indianapolis and Minnesota. Give Paul and I a quick chance to catch our breath, and we'll be with you momentarily.